We are not entrepreneurs. I think we're whiskey people that are kind of betting on ourselves. We're not people that are going to go do this. Like, this is probably a one and done for us. Yeah. So, I think for us, we're very conservative. We're very thoughtful about what it could look like. This property, if things go well, we probably outgrow it in 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, we can get
15
warehouses.
Depending on how it's
and we need a minimum of 8 to keep up if we're aging with our existing capacity if we age only 4 years. Okay. So, if you start pushing that, and we want our core product to be in that 6 to 8 year range, doesn't mean we're not going to release something at 4. So if you start putting that in, I would say, we would probably outgrow this. Yeah, probably 8 years.
8 to 10 years.
So we're looking to put.
You gotta think about bottling. You gotta think.
Yeah, the bottling operation.
One of the things we're gonna see, like, we've got a lot of. There's innovation will come, but we're kind of old school in the sense of, like, you have to get the fundamentals right first. So this distillery has been designed from the inside out. We did not start with an architectural design. We started with an operational design. And Joseph and Joseph, who are our architects out of Louisville, they're the bourbon industry's architects, are incredible. And what they did is we kind of gave the functional direction and what we wanted, and then they designed architectural things within that, and we'll see it as we go through. So we're gonna walk and kind of follow the process through the way we've designed it. So the distillery, it looks really big, but it's actually quite narrow. It's a shotgun. It's a shotgun distillery. So everything's gonna go one way. The two areas you can never build big enough are maintenance and quality. They're honestly like the people that keep everything running. So you're going to see the maintenance shop it's big, and the quality lab is big. We prioritize those things.
The space where they could, if they needed 30 minutes and they just wanted to relax a little bit, they could sit here, watch what was going on, and then if they needed to bolt out and go do something, they can do it, instead of having to just continually go back and forth and check on things. So we don't want a control room, but yet we want people to have the capability to know what's going on in the operation, not have to stress about it if they want to take a lunch and just relax.
After I had my daughter and dropped her off at 10 weeks, then I shared a bathroom with 4 warehouse guys, and I had to pump in there after one had taken a message. And I cried and cried and cried and cried. I'm like, you know what? We need a nice mother's room. It might never get used, but...
Well, it's the one space where everybody will be around the liquid, whether you're pulling fermentation samples and doing ballings on those, or acid pH, or we're tasting the distillate. So, like Jane said, this is kind of the communal space. And if you've got all the ops team in here, this is where we're going to be the most. And I started out in the lab. That's how I got in the industry. And you just can never have enough lab space.
Like, we were very spoiled with very nice equipment, and we will miss the analytics. But the truth is, the best piece of equipment you have is this. Yeah. So in the beginning, we will be very reliant on sensory. We'll have some basic testing equipment that you have to have, pH.
We'll do acids, things like that. But we will initially use a third-party lab. Like, there's required testing, like ethyl carbamate and things like that. Which we'll use a third party, but the idea is who we bring in as our quality manager will build the lab. Like, we fully expect to have a GC mass spec, and HPLC, those things where you can dive in a little bit more, but really that's, Jane probably used that equipment more than anybody at Maker's Mark because of the innovation center. Right, when you're trying to see whether it was wood finishing or some of the other projects we were doing between the warehouse and the cellar. But with the distillery starting up, you don't necessarily have to have all that, but we are going to build into it, which is why this is as big as it is.
What the analytics are so great for is the science validates the sensory. Like if you're just looking at the science, it doesn't, like for every compound you test for, there's thousands you don't test for. So it's really validating what the nose and palate are telling you.
We have 10, 20,000 gallon fermenters, 2 cooks per fermenter, so each fermenter is about 50 barrels.
One of the things I love the look of all the glass when you go to these newer distilleries, but it's hot and then it's a pain to clean. So when we started talking about, so we asked, is there a way to do lots of windows so it's easier to keep clean? You're not baking in it, but you get a lot of natural light.
Grains, all of our corn and wheat is coming from Peterson Farms. Malted barley is coming from Malt Europe. Rye will come from Brooks Grain. So Peterson's is well known for their corn and their wheat, and then the others are very well. Pretty much anybody that's using rye, most of them are getting it from Brooks. We are going to do some Kentucky ryes. I've run both. I ran Doubler in a lot of places, Thumper I ran at Bernheim at Heaven Hill. So the only difference in that is when you come off the beer column, the alcohol vapor comes off the top. If you're running a doubler, you recondense it back into liquid form. It goes into the pot for the second distillation, right? If you're running a thumper, the vapor comes off the beer column, you do not recondense it. So this pot will have a certain amount of water in it, right? So when the alcohol vapor blows in, it actually provides the energy for the second distillation. Because if you want a higher proof, you actually run at a lower vapor temperature. So, like if you want to come off at 120, we're going to be running that beer column at about 200 degrees vapor temperature. If we want to come off at 130 in the second distillation, it needs to be 192. So you can that's how you can use the energy from the beer column to run the distillation. So there may not be any difference at all. There's probably a good chance that there's not. That being said, we're going to have the ability to play around with it. And then thumpers are a little bit more energy efficient. So, if we find that natural gas prices are spiking or there's other areas where we need to conserve energy, that might be a good area to do it. And then the other idea, which was Jane's, was to go ahead and do a gooseneck on top of the doubler, much like you would find in Scotch pot stills. You don't find that a lot in, like secondary distillations for bourbon.
Grains come in and the whiskey goes out. And then warehouses, we're doing traditional rick houses. We're going 24,000. It's kind of a sweet spot. We feel like we've seen small rick houses from the 1800s. We've seen large rick houses. We've seen palletized. We've seen, and for us, those 24s were really a sweet spot. 6 stories, traditional wood ricking with Buzic construction. And like I said, they're gonna sit hillside. The airflow up here is constant. You get the distillery malt, like it grows, the patina. On everything, it's like, are we really gonna fight this? Let's just go black and call it a day.